Dear students, welcome to Lal Sir's classes. In this particular video, we are going to understand the literary devices, or you can say the poetic devices, or you can say the figurative language used in the prose. Lesson number 1, that is a letter to God for class 10th. We are talking about the literature main book from class 10th. Now, talking about the first literary device, we see personification here. The house sat on the crest of the hill. The field promised a good harvest. Now, somebody promises something to somebody. So, this is a kind of a reference to a person. So, now let's understand what personification is. A known person, object or concept is referred to as a person, and then we call it personification. So therefore we can very well say that this sentence, the house sat on the crest of the hill, is very good example of personification. Now the next literary device we can see here, there are many metaphors used by the author. New coins, the big drops are 10-cent pieces and the little ones are 5s. A curtain of rain, new silver coins, frozen pearls, Lencho was an ox of a man. Now these all are very good examples of metaphor. Let us understand what metaphor is. A metaphor is a figure of speech that describes an object or action in a way that is not literally true but helps explain an idea or make a comparison. We can also say briefly that metaphor is an implied fact. Okay, now the next literary device we find in the lesson is the field was white as if covered with salt. This seems like a total loss. Again, working like an animal in the fields. The next one, a plague of locusts would have left more than this. Now, all these examples we find are simile. If you see here, a simile is a figure of speech in which two essential dissimilar objects or concepts are expressly compared with one another through the use of like, as, such as, etc. Fine. So therefore, here it is. As was not depicted properly. So now it is looking okay. Good. Now, going for the next poetic device, literary device, we find in Nelson Mandela. This is prose number 2, the chapter number 2. Okay, provided for the 10th class, prescribed for 10th class. The lesson number 2 is Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. And when we see the literary devices, we find many good literary devices used by the author in the chapter. Synecdoche, for example. Now, South African soil. Now, what is synecdoche? A figure of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole, or vice versa, whether a part is representing the wholesome or wholesome is representing a part, both will be referred to as synecdoche. Okay, the next poetic device here we have is watching world. Now this is transferred epithet. Now what is transferred epithet? A figure of speech in which a known person, object or abstract concept is referred to as a person, so as good as personification. Now we can also say that a figure of speech in which an epithet. Now what is an epithet? Qualifying words. Okay, so an epithet is transferred from a person to known person, object or an abstract concept. So that also becomes transferred epithet. Okay, now we can also say, point to be noted here, very important. Now all the transferred epithets are primarily personification. but all the personification cannot qualify as transferred epithet. Why? Because epithet means qualifying words. Only when we see an example of qualifying words being transferred from a person to a non-person concept. For example, if I say, if I get hurt because of a table kept in my room and I say, oh, cruel table, that becomes a kind of epithet. Okay. So, I'll repeat again. All that are called epithet are primarily personification. Now, there is another one, pure personification here, newborn liberty. Newborn baby, newborn, person, etc., etc. So here, newborn liberty is not a person, and therefore it is personification, a figure of speech in which a non-person object or concept is referred to as a person. Now, the next literary device we find here is repetition. Never, and never again. Now, to put an emphasis on a particular sense that is to be delivered, we generally use this. The author has used it very beautifully. Okay, so repetition is a figure of speech in which the whole word is repeated. Okay, for example, we see Samuel Taylor Collar is using water everywhere, water. So again, it is repetition. Never is repetition. Now, there is another one here. Next literary device we find onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia, okay, the proper pronunciation is onomatopoeia, okay, and the word is roar here. So any sound word, any word that depicts sound, that becomes a very good example of onomatopoeia. Literary device is onomatopoeia. Now, if we see another literary device here, we find a chevron of impala, a South African flag, that is imagery. Okay, so what is an imagery? Imagery is a language used by poets, novelists and other writers to create images in the mind of the readers. Imagery includes figurative and metaphorical language to improve the reader's experience through their senses. Okay, I'll be discussing the imagery, all the types of imagery in a different slide altogether. Now, talking about the next literary device here, we have chains. This is symbolism. A symbol is used, chains. Now, for the slavery, okay, we are talking about South African, history of, slavery. Okay, that is oppression. Okay, apartheid, etc. And here chains symbolize the same thing. So, symbolism. What is symbolism? Symbolism refers to the use of representational imagery. The writer employs an image with a deeper, non-literal meaning for the purpose of conveying complex ideas. Talking about the next literary device that we have is antithesis, a figure of speech in which two contrasting objects or concepts are presented together. Now, it requires such depths of oppression to create such heights of character. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Man's goodness is flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. All these are very good examples of antithesis. Antithesis, two opposite meaning, words or concepts appearing together. Now, these antithesis, concepts are different from irony, sarcasm, oxymoron, etc. Again, we need to discuss it separately, all the contrasting, opposite poles in a different way. Here, antithesis, it means we must understand that two opposing poles just appear together, that's it. Now, the next poetic device here we have is simile. Literary device use a word or phrase that compares something to something else, using the words like, as or such as. In a country like South Africa, who looked like I did, live like a monk, all these are very good examples of simile. Okay, fine. That's all in this video. See you with some other literary device in the next video. Dear students, bye-bye.